Moms and dads are worried, asking, will there be enough food we can afford to buy for the holidays? Will we be able to get Christmas presents to the kids on time? And if so, will they cost me an arm and a leg? I told you before that we're going to take action on these problems. That's exactly what we're doing.
That's President Biden earlier this week talking up new action to stop inflation as the busy holiday shopping season begins. But polls show Americans are feeling the pain and putting the blame on the president. A new NPR Marist poll finds the president's approval rating at just 42%, with less than half of independents and just 3% of Republicans approving of his job performance. Joining us now, Missouri Republican Congressman Jason Smith. He is the ranking member of the House Budget Committee and a member of the House Ways and Means Committee. Congressman, how would you grade the job that the president is doing in responding to inflation?
If you could get a grade worse than an F, that is what I would give Joe Biden. He clearly does the opposite of what is necessary. The answer to addressing inflation was trying to pass another $5 trillion spending package. That was the last thing that was done last week in Congress. Right now, Americans are experiencing the highest prices. They just experienced the highest Thanksgiving that they've ever experienced in history. They're going into Christmas right now with the supply chain crisis, the inflation crisis, the energy crisis, all at the hands of Joe Biden. So I would definitely give him a below an F.
The president says that there are elements in the Build Back Better bill that is proposed that he says are going to solve inflation for many Americans, things like universal pre-K, et cetera. How do you respond to that?
It's a joke. This bill does three things. It bankrupts the economy. It spends $5 trillion right now. It will fuel fire to inflation. The last thing that you need to do is to pour more government spending on the inflation fire. It benefits the wealthy. Guess what? If you're a family who makes $45,000 a year in Farmington, Missouri, you'll get a tax break of $20 under the SALT deduction. But if you make $4 million in New York City, you'll get a tax break of $25,900 under his plan. And guess what? It builds the Washington machine. It adds more than 150 different new federal programs just to have more command and control over the lives of all working class Americans. That's the wrong plan for America.
I want to put up on the screen the NPR Marist poll of the top economic concerns that voters have out there right now. Inflation is up there on top at 39%, wages at 17%, labor shortages 11%, unemployment at 10%, then housing costs and gas prices really could be related to inflation. You know, I'm old enough to remember when a president by the name of Richard Nixon tried to stop inflation by instituting a wage and price freeze. That didn't work. You don't think that the president's proposals this time around are going to work either?
John, since Joe Biden has become president on January 20th, inflation has gone up more than 7.4%. That's the highest in 4 decades. The highest in 4 decades. That means Americans are paying more for prices at the supermarket. And when I talk to people traveling across Missouri, they care about the prices at the supermarket, not the prices at the stock market. I hope President Biden will understand the effects that this inflation is having on real Americans. Their wages are being decreased, according to the Congressional Budget Office. Their wages are being decreased because of skyrocketing inflation. Their wage increase does not even keep up with this horrible inflation that they're experiencing right now.
Well, listen to Jared Bernstein. He's with the Council of Economic Advisors that advises the president. He says things are looking pretty good. Listen.
We have a very, very strong ongoing economic recovery. We see it in the job market. We see it in paychecks. We see it in consumer demand. I mentioned that earlier when we were talking about energy. And that's been partly the fiscal policy coming out of this White House.
How would you answer Mr. Bernstein?
John, the advisors around the president are all wrong. For example, the White House chief of staff said that inflation was a high-class problem. a high-class problem. You talk to anyone who purchased a turkey for Thanksgiving to see if the skyrocketing price of their Thanksgiving dinner was a high-class problem. They're out of touch with reality. The folks that are surrounding President Biden, they don't get it. They're in this they're in this place that normal Americans aren't in, and it's such a disappointment.
Well, and then there are the number of people who have been admitted to the country illegally. Those people are going to have to get jobs. Many of them are going to take anything they can get, a lot of low-wage jobs, and they're competing with American workers for those jobs, right? So what happens to the people who aren't U.S. citizens, who are down there at the lower rungs of the economic ladder? What happens to them when they start competing for some of that work?
Exactly, John. 1.4 million illegals have crossed the southern border since Joe Biden took over as president. And when those illegals enter into the country illegally, what does that do? That drives down the wages of working class Americans who are just trying to make it. So that will only lower their wages, causing it where they have less money to put food on their table, clothes on their backs, and gas in their cars. It's unacceptable. But these are the policies of a Joe Biden America.
It does seem like maybe the vice president, who's been charged with fixing the border situation, would want to pay some attention. Missouri Republican Congressman Jason Smith. Congressman, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.